Hello everyone and welcome to today's video. We're going to talk about the rumors around Warner Brothers selling off their music catalog, Hogwarts Legacy and the recent controversy around that, and also news coming out that Uncoupled on Netflix has been canceled, and why this is kind of illustrating a larger problem with Netflix and a potential issue with their future demise or struggles in the future with competition from other streamers. And then we'll also discuss what's happening with Velma and the review bombing. It's already been renewed for season 2. I watched the first episode and I do have a few thoughts and actually do understand the controversy around some of the changes that have been made to Velma, not only in regards to the reimaging of the characters, but also the actual kind of adult storytelling that could be alienating some of the younger audiences, which are not the audiences, yes, that grew up with it. But let's go ahead and get started with the Warner Brothers news and why I think this is a crazy idea. Apparently, articles are indicating that Warner Brothers is looking to sell off lots of their music rights. And a lot of the music is attached to cinema and movies, and that makes me think back to a series which I enjoyed when I originally watched it on Fox, which was Ally McBeal. And one of the challenges that held back Ally McBeal from being re-released and also being on streaming was the fact that they were held up in legal battle with lots of licensing for the music. Now, the main theme song and everything else was able to come back and get licensed, but it took about 15 years for that to take place, and they did have to pay out. Now, I think that one of the series that I also think about is from CW, is Charmed. Now, when I watch it on Netflix, I see that they changed the intro music, and again, probably due to licensing and not wanting to pay for that, because I think lots of licensing agreements have to do with the initial release, and then there's continued payout every time it's re-released, or it can be blocked in order for them to actually air the music that was originally shot for the show, so they have to renegotiate contracts and everything like that. And considering how many movies and that lots of this catalog that they're looking to sell off is attached to Warner Brothers films, I kind of feel like that's creating a headache for the future, in my opinion. Now, I don't understand the business of music that much, but why would you want to do that? I mean, right now, you probably have to pay a lot of residuals for every time that it is shown in the movie. It may be in part of the contracts with the licensing of these movies, but you do own the majority of the rights. And to be honest, any future movie that you actually do release, it'd probably be good to take a look and revisit some of the catalog, because maybe lots of it is holding nostalgia for individuals and it brings back lots of good memories. I'm not sure what other music or famous music Warner Brothers actually owns, but it seemed like definitely not a good choice and definitely something that I think they would potentially regret. Also makes me think about Marvel, how they sold off Spider-Man and Hulk and still haven't been able to retain or gain the rights to lots of those IP that they sold, and they're kind of suffering for it in the meantime, trying to get back that rights. So to me, it's a little kind of crazy. I'm not sure why anyone would want to do that. So I don't know. What are your thoughts on this? I just think it's another sign that maybe Warner Brothers doesn't, or Discovery Warner Brothers, they don't plan on keeping this too long. Probably trying to get rid of debt before they sell it off, because whoever wants to buy this afterwards is probably not going to want all this, and they're trying to trim all the fat off to make it something that's a little more viable to sell, because I couldn't imagine trying to keep this with what you're doing to it. I don't know, it just seems really crazy. And plus, they're getting rid of all their cartoon content. I saw the Justice League animated series, Justice League Unlimited, are also being removed. But we'll hold back a little bit on animation when we get to Velma. So the other kind of controversy, moving into our second story, is around Hogwarts Legacy. And obviously, Hogwarts is a part of the Wizarding World, Harry Potter, And we do know that J.K. Rowling had some controversy with comments that she had made in regards to trans individuals. And regardless how you feel about it, unfortunately, there's controversy there. And I think that lots of people right now are calling for this to be banned and saying if you actually buy this game that you are not supporting trans individuals and that you're making a very strong statement how you feel towards trans individuals and that you are not an ally. However, this also adds to additional drama that some of the voice actors, and I think one of them who was in, oh my gosh, Heartbreaker on Netflix, is receiving some controversy from fans as well that they were a voice actor as part of this game. And the response from that actor indicated, like, hey, this was filmed about or done about 3 years ago before the whole kind of debacle around J.K. Rowling. And I think that, a lot of hard work probably went to this game. I know that, looking at the game, it looks actually very entertaining and very good, in my opinion. And that brings me into my topic of like separating maybe the brand from the actual artist, or as they say, separating the art from the artist. Like, can you still enjoy something even though maybe the individual is in controversy? And I guess the best way for me to think about this is like with Chick-fil-A. There's lots of controversy about Glad used to be boycotting them because there was, it's a little more, Chick-fil-A is associated with a little more religious kind of ideology and things like that around their business. And in the beginning, sure, I felt a certain way. And I think I've kind of evolved where if somebody wants to eat there, my sister loves their sauce. Uh, I am not going to think bad of a person because, to tell you the truth, there are probably lots of brands that I love that, though, don't have any negative connotation or feelings towards gay people, maybe do have had other choices which are controversial and could be offensive to individuals. So, I guess what I'm trying to say here with Hogwarts Legacy is that, one, there's lots of people that have worked hard in this game. Two, the IP and Harry Potter world is a part of a lot of people's lives and they have grown up with it. A lot of people who play games who feel that this is something that would interest them, and to be honest, I don't think there's many games like this in this world where you can actually do this. And again, lots of people grew up with Harry Potter. I don't think that a lot of people buying the game are really associating it with the controversy around J.K. Rowling. I know lots of people are saying, like, hey, when you purchase this game or you go to the parks, that you are putting money in J.K. Rowling's pocket and she is, controversial in her remarks and feelings towards transgendered people. Now, for some people, that's not even something of a concern for them, to think about. I do think, yes, it's important to support other individuals and, show some tolerance. And of course, when someone says something that's uninformed or let's say something that's controversial, and I'm not going to specifically talk about what J.K. Rowling said, I'm just saying in general, I do think that there's room for growth. And I think a lot of people are saying, like, well, she's had plenty of opportunities. But I think that, to be honest, I think we have to separate the game from that. Yes, I understand it's putting money in her pocket, but I think that we have to think that if someone's buying the game, it's not their main thought in regards to this, especially how long it's been since that news has been there, that they feel a certain negative way towards transgendered people. I think people who enjoy Chick-fil-A don't all necessarily think like every single time, let me eat this because I hate gay people. So that's what I feel about this topic in regards to Hogwarts Legacy. I'm going to be honest. I'm gay. Yes, I am not transgendered, and I do want to purchase the game. But I do support, transgender people. I don't support, discrimination, but I don't think that, purchasing this game necessarily means that someone is supporting individual who is, I say, anti-trans. And I should also mention that the developers indicated that you can also design your own characters in the game. So there's lots of room for you to do whatever you want with the character, and you could play as a trans person if you want. I mean, and your design, you go, hey, I am envisioning this person as being trans. So that's how I feel in regards to this. I think that also you look at one final comment, sorry, in regards to this is you look at the inclusion that J.K. Rowling had for the LGBT or LGB gay people by including a Dumbledore as being gay. Now, sure, I think that that's a concept that maybe she felt a little more comfortable with putting in her books. I know there was controversy around fans for that, but there's still a fandom around it. So that's why I'm going to say leave your comments on what you think about this story. So let's move on to story number 3 here. Uncoupled has been canceled by Netflix, and I actually watched the first season. And I have to be honest, when I watch shows on Netflix, I selectively choose to watch shows, and I look at them as far as their popularity. I also look at, is this something I'm willing to invest time knowing that there's a high likelihood that it will be canceled? And that's something originally when Netflix came about that I never have to worry about. I always felt like Netflix in the beginning was a streamer who saved shows and that you were going to get an ending to the content that you watched. So each series was going to have a nice bookend. Now today, I kind of thought that they would cancel the show, and I watched it anyways. I'm glad I watched it, but I have to be honest, when I ended the show, I said, I have to be okay with the end, that this is probably not going to be renewed by Netflix. It's not making lots of news, and Netflix content needs to survive on headlines. Now, I know that I usually will watch a Netflix movie, to be honest, because I know that it is going to be something that is going to have potential ending, and that I know if I invest my time, I don't have to feel like I wasted it. So I think that one of the largest problems with Netflix is the number of cancellations that they have. In the beginning, Netflix could separate themselves from the other studios and streamers because, well, one, there weren't other streamers, but yes, there were other studios. There was networks canceling shows left and right, and at least Netflix felt like a reliable place that you can go to. Now, lots of the series that they have saved and that they are currently developing, I was looking forward to Avatar: The Last Airbender, but I have a feeling that if it's not going to splash and make huge headlines, it's going to be canceled by Netflix. With this news, like I said, wasn't surprised, but I think that the other news that's coming about from Netflix is that they're going to be canceling password sharing. And in some ways, I'm actually kind of looking forward to this. And you ask probably why. Because I have lots of family members that actually rely on this service for me to pay because they also use it. Now, would they pay for it on their own? I think maybe one of them would, but I think that most of them wouldn't. Now, if, let's say, Netflix gets rid of the actual password sharing, I think that after Stranger Things ends, I'm going to feel like a little more comfortable actually saving some money myself because no longer do I have the obligation to the other members of my family and those other individuals that are, let's say, using the service, because at the same time, I'm now going to have to dish out extra money for each of them when I think that all of them will be understanding, like saying, you know what, I don't want you to have to pay for me individually. That feels kind of weird before I know you're paying for the service. I'm okay with you, canceling it if you need to. And I would probably be inclined to say, you know what, probably will because I don't have that additional kind of thought going into it or pressure that, that there's other people who are enjoying this besides me and I'm getting a value for it even when I'm not watching it, that at least I know the service is being used. And to be honest, I'm not using Netflix as much anymore because I know that lots of the things that would make me use it a lot are probably like shows, and I don't feel like investing my time in something that's going to be canceled. A movie here and there, sure, but I don't watch enough movies on the service, to be honest, that actually piqued my interest. Netflix has amazing kind of new products and content coming out, but unless it's a documentary or movie, I'm not going to watch it. And to be honest, once my family and they introduce that password sharing policy, if they do, I'm going to be feeling like a weight lifted off my shoulder that I feel more comfortable canceling it. Let me know what you think in regards to Uncoupled being canceled. The cancel culture of Netflix, kind of weird, right? And whether you'll be canceling Netflix if they actually end password sharing. So, final story number 4 here, which is that Velma premiered on HBO Max, and the reviews have not been so kind. Now, there are a few things and few reasons for this. I think one off the bat is that you're changing a beloved character, and yes, the race swapping and that, but also when I watched the series, I noticed that lots of the characters as well, at least to me, felt a little different than what I remember. And I have to go revisit Scooby-Doo because I was like, wow, were lots of these characters really as vapid and as shallow as they were before? And, you know, I felt like lots of the personality of the characters was just not there. I think the other part that a lot of people mentioned was that the humor was probably a little more adult. Now, and it was actually, shouldn't say probably, it was more adult. And I was reading, and watching some videos with reviews in regards to this, and I thought to myself, like, if this was not attached to Scooby Doo, would people have as much problems with this? And I think not. I think if the series was on its own, people go, okay, actually it's pretty good, adult cartoon content. I think when it's attached to Scooby Doo, I think that a lot of people do have problems. And part of that is because it's changing something that they adore. And I also think in some ways, yes, race swapping, Velma and Shaggy, for the studios seems like the right choice. A lot of people felt like it was a fluid choice. And I kind of have problems sometimes when they keep on using the word fluid. Like, I feel like this was such a fluid choice. It's just saying, like, it's an obvious choice. Like, obviously, I mean, okay, her being a lesbian, sure. Kind of obvious, right? Even though I think that someone had indicated that in one of the recent, I think, newer cartoons that she had a boyfriend or something. But I kind of feel like the move of adding diversity in this way to, let's say, a beloved franchise actually does more to actually hurt diversity that we actually do need. Because to tell you the truth, like being someone who's gay and Hispanic, seeing a gay character portrayed in a non-sexual way and not a stereotypical way is refreshing to me. Now, changing an existing character, let's say they changed Superman to be gay, and there was a article, the headlines kind of skewed that. It's like, hey, Superman has been turned gay, when really it was his son who was gay. And that I'm okay with because I was like, well, okay, Superman has a gay son. And a lot of people were like, in comics? Well, I'm sorry, lots of comics were read by adults. But so I'm okay with that. Or the introduction of Blue Beetle, who, one of the characters who actually was Blue Beetle is Hispanic. And to bring that, it makes sense because there's a history, there's something behind the character. I feel like there's actual investment in representation. And I think that sometimes when you race swap an existing character, instead of having everyone kind of be on board for it, we create controversy and kind of division when we race swap a character. Now, okay, I'm just going to say this. For me, it doesn't bother me as much as other individuals, right? But I feel that it's unfair to those individuals who are of diverse backgrounds when you put it like, see, we're giving them diversity, just like they wanted. And you guys are hating it. Nobody's liking this content. Nobody's watching it. And I think, like, for me, let's say being Hispanic, okay, I was like, yeah, I wanted something without, like, you kind of poo-pooing on it and trying to create it where you're creating something to fail instead of actually investing in something and actually creating diversity that actually is fluid. Um, so that's where I have a problem in regards to it. I think that it's really easy. You create like a target on those who are of diverse backgrounds when you kind of do things in this manner. Now, like I said, I don't have a problem with it. I watched the first episode. I thought it was okay. I didn't find it as, say, bad as other people did. I am going to watch the second season, but I did find myself kind of watching it in the background. So you kind of get a feeling of how the series is, and the only problem is that that same note continues throughout the episode. So I think it's just like one flavor, and I could see people talking about that. So I think that, I would like to see Hollywood kind of make a better stand towards this. I thought one of the comments was actually unfair to the series, where HBO Max is saying, "Hey, number one premiere for animated series," and people were like, "Well, you got canceled and you got rid of all your animated series, so how could you really say it was the number one premiere when it's the only cartoon you have?" But it wasn't the only cartoon that has premiered on the service. Sorry, make a little noise in here. It wasn't the only cartoon that's premiered on the service. We had Young Justice premiere on the service, and that was another cartoon. We had Harley Quinn, I think the second season, kind of premiere. I think a lot of people are going to say, like, hey, a lot of these were in the DC Universe app. But to be honest, you would think that the audience for these would transcend to HBO Max. So maybe it is the first kind of full cartoon, maybe, to have a premiere. Even though I kind of doubt, I think there's other ones, but to think that something already existing, let's say like Young Justice and it continuing on, or Harley Quinn in regards to that, would have pretty decent numbers. But it looks like it was beat out by Velma. So I think that they would include those numbers in regards to that. I also know that I think Looney Tunes, they did have new cartoon content as well that premiered in regards to HBO Max. So I don't want to be completely unfair to the series and say like, hey, there was no other cartoon premieres on this, program. But I think you also had Little Ellen premiere in regards to this as well as a cartoon. So yeah, it beat out all of those according to HBO Max. Now, does that mean that it's going to be continued to be renewed? Well, I think we already know that it is renewed, but it will continue. I mean, I think there's probably a likelihood there will, especially if they're going to renew Harley Quinn, and apparently it doesn't have as strong numbers as Velma, according to HBO Max. So let me know what you think about this story. I tried to be non-controversial as possible when discussing it, but I know that there may be people who disagree with me. So if you like what you're seeing, hit the like button, subscribe, leave a comment, hit the notification bell to get notification of other videos when they're uploaded, and as always, stay safe and thank you for watching. Bye.